Hello everyone, welcome to Sweetcast. This is Clint. Now I wanted to make a full, big fact-checking video on Renfamous's live stream that she did on Saturday night. But as I was looking through it and thinking about it, one, I'm kind of late to the party because this is Monday, and two, there were so many inaccuracies throughout that it was just, I feel like a waste of time. She knows that there are inaccuracies to a lot of them. So I don't think it was worth my time. So I did point out a few things, and I have a few clips that I wanted to address. But before that, I wanted to point out some in general impressions. So first, I want to say that I unblocked Ren. If you'd followed my channel for a few months, I think it was like 2 months ago, I blocked Ren because I felt like she was thriving so much off of the conflict online, and you could tell it really bothered her a lot when Ethan blocked her, and really any big Comicsgate person that she could pick fights with had blocked her. So I blocked her. Now I unblocked her so I could perform this experiment. So I noticed that on Sunday everybody was posting memes galore. They were everywhere about the live stream. And most of those memes were making fun of the way that she looks, or the blue wig, or whatever, those kinds of things. Now, she didn't respond to those, but she did post on her own timeline, basically like, look at me, I'm getting just as I thought. No one's refuting what I'm saying. They're just talking about my looks. Now, I don't think this is a winning strategy for Comicsgate. This is exactly what she wanted. I really think that's why she dialed in on blue hair, because it's always been an ongoing joke about blue hair, and she actually has blue hair, or a blue wig. In this game that she's playing, victimhood is currency. So she wants to be seen as a victim. She wants Comicsgate to be attacking women for their looks. This is exactly what she wants. So in my experiment on Twitter, I posted 2 basically fact checks for things that were blatantly just false, and I believe that she knows that they're false. I posted them. And even though I'm, a little nobody that has only been around for 4 months, as she'll remind me quite often, she responded to both of those fact checks, and not just once, but several times she responded to them. I responded back once, which I probably shouldn't have. But for the most part, I just, posted the thing and just let it go and we'll see what happens. And she responded to me several times on each. This is because this is how you win this culture war. It's already been done elsewhere on other fronts. You've got to attack the logic, and you have to expose the falsehoods and put the truth out there. What she wants is a public relations spectacle. She wants for her to be the victim that's being attacked. So another thing that I gleaned from this, that's sort of an overall thing, is that she's using media tactics. She's either had some very, very basic low-level training on media, or maybe she went to school for journalism or public relations like I did. They teach all the undergrads this kind of stuff. It's not rocket science. It's possible that she picked it up years ago when she was working for the Republican Party doing, I imagine, a lot of this very similar kinds of things. But you'll notice when there's an internet debate, let's say on CNN, and you've got a Democrat spokesperson, and then you've got a Republican spokesperson, and they'll go after each other. There's a technique called pivot and punch, and basically what it is somebody will throw out an accusation, will say like, your party is racist. Rather than address that accusation, they will pivot, and so they'll say something that sort of deflects the blame, and then they'll punch. So then they'll send a new attack that may have something to do with the first one, or maybe not. It doesn't matter. But those kinds of debates aren't won by like a normal academic debate. It's won in the public eye. So if you can get your opponent to be on the defensive, if you can get them to defend their position, then you've already won. It doesn't matter. That's how media perception works. So she's done a few different tactics. I'm not saying like she's some kind of a media genius, but she does know and use some of these things. So she could have picked it up from any number of places, but know that she at least knows that much. So another thing I'll say is that though she knows these tactics, she's didn't seem to me to be very comfortable on camera, especially not live. This is not something that she does a lot, or at least that I have seen, but you can tell that it makes her uncomfortable, and it's definitely out of place for her. So she'll use those same kind of pivot and punch tactics on social media. She did, the nice thing here, I guess, for her is that she had no opponent to punch back. So it's still punching. It's just saying claims. You can say whatever you want, but that is already achieving the goal. So my third observation here is going to be that I think it's very good for Comicsgate if Ren is on YouTube and doing live streams. Now, I think part of the reason why she's going to YouTube is because she has lost her effectiveness on Twitter, or she's hoping to sort of stir things up again. I think I'm going to block her again, just out of principle that I want Twitter to be just like not an avenue for her. But I do think if we do that, she's going to move to YouTube, and that's going to be a good thing. She's moving to YouTube because she got a reaction from Ethan Van Sciver on YouTube, and she did mention several times here that Ethan blocked her, and she seems kind of bummed about that, which seems funny if you're just, if you're really just trying to help the comics industry. Why would you want to be fighting with Ethan? That doesn't really make sense. Okay, so initially I thought, you know what, I think maybe Renfamous is just doing this like at a free time, and it's something that she enjoys doing. I mean, I still think that's true, but I was shocked to hear this first quote. I had to replay this like 4 times just to make sure I was hearing it correctly. But you listen, she's referring to herself, because she's talking about Ethan, and then she's referring to herself as a professional internet drama person. Listen to this.
I've never seen anyone so desperate to find some kind of, this is coming from, a professional internet drama person. I've never seen someone so desperate to find it. I mean, usually.
Did you hear that? And you can play the whole thing again. She's talking about how desperate Ethan is to find drama, even though like he blocked her on Twitter, but whatever. She referred to herself as a professional internet drama person. Coming from an internet professional drama person, I've never seen somebody like Ethan so desperate to find drama. That's what she said. So usually professional means you're getting money for it. It's like, I feel like it's tinfoil hat kind of stuff. But some of these things to me are adding up. Whether she's actually getting paid or she's hoping that, there's going to be something bigger for her in the future, it doesn't matter. It's for, she's doing it for a reason rather than just for the good, because she's using these media techniques like I had explained. Okay, next clip.
And that's an aspect of Comicsgate that, like, as much as I hesitate to say there are, worthwhile aspects of it, there.
I'm gonna pause right there. So the host here, the cat guy, he had just said that if you don't like comics, you should make your own. I mean, how great is that to make your own comics? Obviously, he has no idea what he's talking about, because Comicsgate has achieved what no other independent comic creator coalition has been able to achieve. There's a huge network of comic book creators that help each other, all the way from finding a creative team, working on your stories and scripts, getting feedback from people, helping with promotion and very effective promotion, to selling your book, getting printing done, all that kind of stuff. In Comicsgate, people are helping each other out a lot. That something notable has happened here. You can leave out the culture war all you want. This is big in the history of comics. Nothing like this has ever happened. And she admits that it's a good thing, but she's going to kind of take that back here. Let's see.
There is nothing good about Comicsgate because of what it has become. But, if you broke off the part of it that is, indie creators supporting each other, indie creators creating a network of people who want to make their own thing and do their own thing, create their own universe, have their characters interact in their own universe, I mean, that's a good thing. You don't need this veil of aggression. You don't need this veil of negativity and of harassment. You don't need it. You can.
Okay, and that's, again, this is a technique. She's trying to tie in the good thing, which is the network of creators, with what she's promoting as this negative thing. So that's why I'm saying making fun of the way that she looks is not helpful. This is exactly what she wanted to happen, and I really think that's why she's got the blue wig. So the network of creators, I think it's such a notable thing that's why the industry is worried about it. You think that they're not worried about it? Their sales numbers have gone down now for a third year in a row. This is a big deal. The market is shrinking. It's diminishing. And at the same time, there is the budding new industry that's springing up beside it that is outside of their control. There are absolutely people that are very, very worried about this. And so, of course, she's going to tie the two together. This isn't by mistake. This has been done on purpose. I'm not saying that she's a mastermind or anything. It's really obvious stuff. But, I learned all that. I went to school for public relations. I learned all this stuff in undergrad. It's basic.
But I think the ultimate example of where this becomes a much more sinister and nasty thing would be the involvement of one Vox Dei.
Yeah.
And he created the Comicsgate imprint, didn't he?
Yep, he did. He was some would say the original Comicsgater. He created the first crowd.
So, this one is so wrong. So it's widely known. Ethan Van Sciver has an interview with Vox Dei. I think it's called Vox Dei versus Ethan Van Sciver. If you want to look it up, Vox Dei even says there that he had never read comics. He had no interest in comics, but he had some illustrators talking, or an illustrator talking to him for his books and trying to get him to go into comic books. So he saw the cultural divide that was happening in comics, and he saw an opportunity for him to make money. I'm not slandering anybody. I'm not making this stuff up. This is all exactly what Vox Dei said, and there's no reason that he would refute that. This is common knowledge. If you want to talk about who came up with Comicsgate, I mean, it's not a very creative name, Comicsgate, especially the past 10 years. Anytime something happens, they say a word and then they add gate onto the end of it. Especially coming off the heels of Gamergate. If there's a culture war happening in comics, what's the obvious thing that it's going to be called, right? The most obvious and the least creative thing that you could call it would be Comicsgate. Just like Pizzagate, Gamergate, Magagate, they're calling it for everything. Smuggate, I think was the kid with the face. It's everywhere. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if you had a good, 40 to 100 people come up and start using the term Comicsgate roughly around the same time when they noticed that there was this customer revolt happening. I've already made a video on Vox Dei. You know where I stand on Vox. Do I think that he should be prohibited from making money and from having a living? No, absolutely not. To the contrary, I'm fine with him publishing books and doing his thing. Also, do I think that anybody associating with Vox Dei, do I think that they should not be able to make money and that they should, rot in a gutter somewhere? Of course not. No. But I personally would choose not to associate with Vox Dei. And many other people agree with me, which is why, he's really been ostracized from Comicsgate. So, of course, they're going to conflate the two. Now, the interviewer, I forget his name. Let me check what his name is. Kevin Logan. He's obviously not in the know about a lot of this kind of stuff. He just did some very basic research on it. I did see him in the chat when that Umbrella guy was doing a live stream before this live stream, and Tug was letting him have it. And so I think he's just using that sort of just very basic ground level, dip his toe into the water to see what was going on. And so I suspect we'll see more because he made a ton of money, as you can see from the super chats here. He made a ton of money that he hasn't seen since, Gamergate. He was anti-Gamergate. So there is a rising opposition. And again, on YouTube, I think this is actually a good thing because that's not a place historically where far left people do well.
Funded comic that he branded as something as an opposition to the SJW mainstream, which is what Comicsgate is. It is an opposition to the SJW mainstream comics. And Vox Dei piloted that program. He did it first. He did it under his, whatever the fuck he calls his comic.
Okay, so yeah, he crowdfunded a campaign and he did that before any of the known Comicsgate creators did, but he did not do that before Comicsgate existed. If you want to look at people like, diversity in comics, he was making videos, like pointing all this stuff out. I mean, heck, look at people like Douglas Ernst. I know Captain Cummings was early. I know, I'm sorry I'm forgetting some other YouTubers, but there were certainly YouTubers and there were certainly people on Twitter well before that were pointing out the problems, and there were customers, and this angst was growing well before Vox Dei entered into the scene and saw it as a money-making opportunity. So, of course, she's got a link, Comicsgate to Vox Dei. The interviewer here, Kevin, made that really easy for her to do. But all it takes is just a little bit, like a minimal amount of research to find out what actually happened. Not a big deal. Okay, here's one more.
And from what I've been told, sorry, I'm going to look down and try and find you this link. From what I've been told by
who told you this? I know exactly who did. I'm not going to say, but she's got some information that she's going to basically use right against the person that told her.
People. This Comicsgate imprint was not done. Ethan wasn't blindsided by this Comicsgate imprint. This is something that, there is evidence that he was at least aware of it several weeks in advance of it being announced. There's even some people who from whom I've heard that he was intended to be a partner in it. It was intended.
So a few things here. I know who she's talking about. If you look back into August, which I did, and looked at some of the earlier, I mean, it wasn't that early, I guess, but for me it was early, some of the stuff that was going on with Comicsgate and surrounding Vox Dei, I've heard the same exact story, but it's told differently. It was told from, I believe, the same person that told her here that she's using, that there was a miscommunication. On one hand, Vox Dei said he was going to create a publishing imprint for Comicsgate, and on the other hand, Ethan Van Sciver's like, yeah, man, do whatever you want to do. And then when it came out that the imprint was actually called Comicsgate, that's where there was a problem. There was a disconnect. That's the way that it was already explained by the same person that she's referring to. So things aren't lining up, right? These are conflicting things that have happened in public unless there's evidence of some kind of privately known thing. Obviously, you can't just say something exists that there's no evidence for it existing. But I can tell you that as soon as Vox Dei created that imprint, there was an uprising. Nobody was happy about this. You go look at live streams from back at that time period, and you'll see a lot of people were very upset about it. So this is a silly thing, again, to be connecting to Vox Dei, especially when I think about it. Like, I've already made how I feel about Vox Dei and that his ideology, made that well known. I don't really care if you disagree with it or not. That's my right. But she's closer connected to Vox Dei than I am if we're going to play the associated, guilt by association game, which, again, I've already explained I don't think you should do. So I'm not going to do that to her. But I expect the same kind of right. You can associate with whomever you want without being guilty of their sins. However, I choose not to associate with Vox Dei. Okay, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of this stuff. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this content, like and subscribe. And really, I'm going to say, I think the best thing we can do, the most effective thing we can do is hope that she does more live streams and make videos that directly refute what is said on those live streams, because it's going to be really easy for somebody to watch a video like this, and then the next suggested video happens to be on the same topic. That would be ideal, so somebody can watch it and find refuting evidence and decide for themselves. So thank you for watching. I will see you next time.